There's a line from Meister Eckhart. He was a German mystic and theologian that I like. He wrote that if thank you is the only prayer you ever pray, that will be sufficient. And the trouble with the mystics, of course, is that they make these statements they come from deep within somewhere, you know what I mean? And then we try to use them somehow and make sense of them up here, so to speak. And it was funny, this morning I was looking for something else, but I saw that. I thought, oh, that's interesting, because I was going to start with that anyway. And it was a CEO of some business, and he uses that quote that's inspiring to him. He's used that to his advice to people is that, or his comment is that this statement of his spurred him on to the thing that's been the most helpful in his business. He said, if you want your business to be successful, send thank you notes all the time to people, you know. And it may be true, it may work, it's certainly not a bad thing to do. I'm not sure that's exactly what Meister Eckhart was getting at, though, or what he had in mind when he wrote that. Why is gratitude a sufficient prayer? You know? Is it because that's all that's necessary in the spiritual life? I don't think that's what Meister Eckhart was getting at either. I think that thank you is a sufficient prayer, not meaning that it's the end, but it's a prayer that will bring you to the other things. So, for instance, it seems to me that gratitude, the virtue of gratitude, will bring you to the virtue of humility. That when you say thank you to someone, you are, and especially thank you to God, and recognize God as the giver of all your gifts, you have the relationship correct, you know, that He is the giver and you're the receiver. It takes a certain humility to realize I am receiving this through no merit of my own, you know. As we heard in the first reading, that God gives us all these spiritual gifts out of His great mercy, you know, not because of our great merit. And it seems like the virtue of gratitude will also bring us to another virtue, the virtue of generosity. You know, when one realizes all the gifts that one receives, it's natural, isn't it, to then start to be generous yourself and give gifts yourself. You know, and there are other virtues that I've been thinking about that can come from gratitude. Stewardship might be another one, you know, that you say, you know what, somebody gave me this. I want to use it well and to honor them, you know. So it can come to bring you to a lot of other places. But I still think that even isn't at the heart of it. The gratitude completes, I've been struggling to find the right word for it. It takes two to have a relationship, you know what I mean? So whatever word that is, completes the relationship or so, I'm not sure. But that the giver begins the relationship. The giver reaches out, you know. And then gratitude, acknowledging the gift, is like completing that circle, you know. That's when the relationship begins. That you can send gifts, you know, you can send whatever, you get something in the mail, you send $100 to Catholic Relief Services, you know. That's a generous gift, right? But that's not a relationship. But doing something for someone, giving them something, or by the other way, someone giving you something, and you going back to them, whether it's physically or through a letter or whatever, saying thank you, that now is a relationship. And gratitude, in my opinion, is not sufficient in the sense that's all we need. But if it connects us with God in a real relationship, then everything else can happen. I often think what I'm really trying to do is connect you guys to Jesus, either for the first time or in a deeper way. Because once you're connected to Jesus, then I don't have much else to do, in a sense, foster the relationship. But that's the important thing, is that you're connected to God. I can't save you. Some great spiritual writer can't save you, right? Only Jesus saves you. And so I'm always trying to connect you to Jesus. And I think that's what the virtue of gratitude does. It really connects you in a real relationship with God. Once you look to God and say thank you for whatever it is, you've connected to God, and now God has a chance to work in you more deeply and do more work in you. And so really I can't encourage you enough to think about this virtue of gratitude, this act of giving thanks to God. If you can do that, and if you do that, make a habit of doing that over and over again, that then connects you to God, and He can do all kinds of things with you as a result of that. So gratitude isn't the only thing that would connect us to God, but it certainly is an easy way to get connected to God, because all around us we're surrounded with God's gifts. I mean, you don't have to think too hard to find something for which to be thankful to God. You can just look at yourself in the mirror. And I don't mean that just because you're all so beautiful. I mean, because there you are. The fact that you're standing there looking in the mirror is reason enough to give thanks to God. I exist. And from there on, you go anywhere you want. The wonder of your body, the people in your life, the things, on and on. You guys know your list of gifts. And so the practice of gratitude, I think, and this is what at least I get from Meister Eckhart, it's the practice of gratitude can begin all the other stuff that will happen in our spiritual lives. And so practice gratitude daily, I mean, hourly wouldn't be too much, you know what I'm saying? But practice it regularly. Let this be a day where kind of a special day of Thanksgiving. Let it not be the only day of Thanksgiving. So if your prayer today is thank you, if that's the only prayer you pray today, that will be sufficient.